These notes are on factoring, what we've been doing, okay? And we just keep on adding, right? First we started with just positives, and then we added up, make sure that we can do it with negative numbers. And now we're going to throw GCFs back in there, okay? Now GCF ends up being a little bit trickier because in this case, I don't know that the front number is going to be x squared. The front number could be anything, right? So this is basically the hardest level of factoring, the highest level of factoring we do. So you're going to take a go at it, and we'll just see how you do. Okay, so here we're going to be the examples. We're going to get a chance to try some problems. Okay, here we go. First example. Okay, the first thing I need to do is look at this, right? What I'm not going to do is just start factoring right away. The reason that I'm not going to start factoring right away is that when I look at these numbers, I notice something. These numbers are all divisible by 3. Okay, now how did I notice that? Well, I looked at 15 and I kind of thought to myself, 15 is kind of a big number. Ms. Broderick hasn't given me these kind of big numbers before. Maybe there's something up, right? And I thought to myself, okay, 15 is 3 times 5. 63, that's 3 times 21, which is 3 times 7. So this is 3 times 3 times 7, right? You could have also seen, oh, that's 9 times 7, which is 3 times 3 times 7. This is 3 times 4, right? And we could break this down, right? This could be 3 times 2 times 2. So what I notice is that they all have this 3 in common. Okay? So I'm going to factor out the 3 first. Okay? And what I'm doing is I'm undistributing. So distributing is multiplying. I'm going to divide. So 15 divided by 3 is 5, right? And it's 15x squared divided by 3, so it's 5x squared. 63 divided by 3 is 21. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay? Now that I factored out the GCF, now, and don't forget this step, bring it down. You have to bring it down, otherwise you will forget. Okay? Then we're doing this, okay? Now back to just saying what we've been doing, right? You got to figure out what's going to work. So this is 5x and x. This could be either 4 and 1 or 2 and 2. I notice all of these numbers are positive, which is great. That makes my life easier. I notice 21's kind of big, so when I see kind of a big number, I'm like, in order to get a big number, I like to multiply like larger numbers together. So for example, like here, I have the option of doing, if I put a 4 here, that'll be 5 times 4. That'll get me 20, right? So I'm going to try that. Okay, so here I get 5 times 4, that's 20x, and 1 times x, that's 1x, and that's 21. Okay, that's my answer. Okay, so notice, and I could have just tried all the possibilities, and I would have ended up landing on this, but the way that I kind of took a shortcut is I thought to myself, ooh, that's sort of a big number, so I want to try to multiply big numbers together to reach that larger number. Okay, so this is my answer here. Okay, you try. You're going to have to take out the greatest common factor first. So figure out what the greatest common factor is in this problem. Take that out, undistribute, and then go ahead and do that next step. Okay, so it's your turn. Pause and try this. All right, if you're back here, hope you tried it. Hopefully you caught the greatest common factor here. Was a 5. Okay, and now I'm going to bring that down. This is going to be 3x times x. I know that because there's a 3 right there. And now numbers that multiply to 16. Oy, this could be 1 times 16. It could be 8 times 2. It could be 4 times 4. I do feel lucky that everything is positive, so I know that this will be positive and positive. So that makes my life easier. Let's start with 8 and 2. Put 8 here, 2 here. So let's see, that's 8 times x is 8x. 2 times 3 is 6x. And that adds up to 14x. That's a no. If I switch it, that's not going to work because look, if I switch it and I put 2 and 8, that's going to be too big, I think, right? 3 times 8 is already 24x, so that's not going to work. So it's not going to be 2 and 8. Let's try 4 and 4. 4 times x is 4x. 3x times 4 is 12x, and that's 16x. That works. Okay, that's your answer. Let's try another example. Okay. Okay, I noticed something very important here. This is negative. It can't be. It's not supposed to ever be negative, okay? So I'm going to factor out a negative for sure. Now go through and check. Is there another greatest common factor? Let's see. The factors of 2 is just 2. The factor of 5 is just 5. So already, these don't have a common factor. So there is no other common factor, but I cannot leave a negative there. So in this case, I factor out a negative 1. Okay. Now let's say there was a negative here, but then there was also like this was 6 and 3 and 9 or something like that, right? Where they all had a greatest common factor as well. Then you would factor out, let's say, a negative 3. Okay. But in this case, there is no greatest common factor, and we're just going to factor out a negative 1. So that becomes this. And then I'm going to bring down that negative 1. And I'm going to factor. Okay, I see a 2x squared here, so that's going to be 2x and x. And now, negative 12, rough. This could be 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4, and one of those has to be negative, right? So it could be negative 1 and positive 12, or positive 1 and negative 12, and then they can all be in either order. So there's a ton of possibilities. There's, right, this could be negative or this could be negative, and they could be in either order. So basically, each of these represents 4 possibilities. There's 12 possibilities. So hopefully we just kind of get lucky and we'll see. So let's start with 3 and 4. So I'm going to put 3 here and the 4 here, and I'm going to make the 4 negative and the 3 positive. We'll just see how it goes. So that's negative 4x and plus 6x. So that's 2x. So that's no good because I want negative 5x. So let's see what happens when we switch 3 and 4. 2x times 4 is 8x, and negative 3 times x is 5x. Ooh, close. That's positive 5x, and I want negative 5x. So the solution there is I need to switch these signs because now I'll have positive 3x and negative 8x, and that will be negative 5x. And I'm done. Okay, your turn to try. Here's your second practice problem. Okay, pause and try. Okay, hopefully you tried it. Hopefully you saw, oh no, that's a negative, I gotta factor it out. And there's no common factor here, right? These both have factors of 5, but 5 is not a factor of 24. So again, we're just going to factor out a negative 1 in this case. So let's get set up. That's a 5x squared there, so this is going to be 5x and x. And this can only be 5 and 1, so it can be negative 5 and positive 1, or positive 5 and negative 1, but those are the only possibilities. I noticed this number's kind of big, and I think to myself, ooh, 24. That's pretty close to 25. So what if I put the 5 here, right? Then that'll be 5x times 5. That'll be 25x. And then I want 1 less than that. So let's do this. Positive 5, right, will be 5x times 5. That'll be 25x. And then minus 1x. That'll be 24. And that's the answer.